Virgin millionaire forced and paid her to abort the pregnancy. 2 years later, he sees her with twin boys. He had built a tech empire by knowing exactly what he wanted. Now he wanted answers about the children with his eyes, regardless of what it might cost him. Have you ever encountered someone from your past when you least expected it? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The sound of familiar laughter froze Logan in his tracks, but it was the sight of his own steel gray eyes staring back at him from the faces of two toddlers that shattered his world. He stood motionless among the bustling crowd at the Austin Farmers Market, watching as Maya, the woman he'd paid to disappear from his life 2 years ago, helped twin boys select bright red strawberries from a vendor's stand. The boys, no older than 2, had her warm brown skin and wide smile, but those eyes, Logan's distinct steel gray eyes, left no question about their parentage. Blood rushed in his ears as the market sounds faded. Wasn't there supposed to be no pregnancy? Hadn't he paid her to end it? The contract, the NDA, the cashier's check with enough zeros to buy her silence forever. It had all been arranged so precisely. Maya looked up and saw him. The strawberry basket dropped from her hands. 3 heartbeats. They locked eyes across the crowded market aisle. Then instinct took over. She scooped up both boys and turned to flee. "Maya," Logan called, pushing through the crowd. Weekend shoppers glared as he knocked against shoulders and shopping bags. He caught up to her at the market entrance, reaching for her arm before stopping himself. "Maya, wait. Stay away from us," she hissed, clutching the boys tighter. One buried his face in her neck while the other stared curiously at Logan. "There." Logan couldn't finish the sentence. "Nothing to you," Maya finished, eyes blazing. "You made that very clear when you handed me that check. But you told me. I don't owe you explanations." She stepped back, protective and fierce. "Leave us alone, Logan." A crowd was forming. Phones were lifting, recording the confrontation. Logan Pierce, tech wunderkind and CEO of PREGNANCY-2, causing a scene at a public market. "Please," he lowered his voice. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." The boy Maya's right arm pointed at Logan. "Mama, who dat?" Logan's heart thundered in his chest. Maya's eyes filled with tears she refused to shed. "Nobody, baby," she whispered. "Nobody important." The words cut deeper than Logan expected. He'd spent 2 years building his empire, convincing himself he'd made the right choice. Now, staring at the family he never knew existed, everything he'd built seemed hollow. "I'll be at the coffee shop across the street for the next hour," Logan said quietly. "If you want to talk, I'll be there." He backed away, watching as Maya hurried to her car, strapping the twins into car seats with practiced efficiency. As she drove away, Logan stood paralyzed, the question hammering in his mind. Had she lied to him, or had he made the biggest mistake of his life? Have you ever encountered someone from your past when you least expected it? How did your body react before your mind could catch up? Drop a comment below and let me know if you've experienced that rush of adrenaline when worlds collide. He had built a tech empire by knowing exactly what he wanted. Now he wanted answers about the children with his eyes, regardless of what it might cost him. Logan's penthouse overlooked downtown Austin, floor-to-ceiling windows displaying a city that worshipped innovation and forgave the sins of its successful. 3 digital screens glowed in the darkness, each displaying different pieces of Maya Brooks' new life. It had taken just 24 hours and several expensive phone calls to discover she'd moved to Austin 20 months ago. She worked as a nurse practitioner at a community health clinic in East Austin. The twins attended a daycare 3 blocks from her modest duplex. No husband or partner appeared in any of her sparse social media. She completed her nursing degree online while pregnant. Logan drained his 3rd whiskey, scrolling through property records for her address. How had she managed it all? Pregnancy, school, relocation, raising 2 children, while he'd been free to build his company without distraction. The question gnawed at him. Freedom had been his justification when he'd convinced her to sign that NDA. Children would derail everything he'd worked for. She'd understood, hadn't she? She'd taken the money, but she hadn't gone through with it, and she'd never told him. The next morning, Logan parked his Audi outside East Austin Community Health Center. His hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. What was he doing here? What exactly did he want? Answers, he told himself. Just answers. He waited 3 hours. Patients came and went, mostly working-class families and elderly residents. At 6:15 p.m., Maya emerged wearing scrubs, exhaustion evident in her walk. Logan stepped out his car. "Surprised to see me?" he asked when she noticed him. Maya froze. "Are you stalking me now?" "I prefer seeking answers," Logan replied. "Where are the boys?" "None of your business." She clutched her bag tighter. "They have my eyes, Maya." His voice roughened. "When were you going to tell me?" "Never." The word landed like a slap. "You made your choice. You paid me to go away, remember? To take care of the problem. You told me you went through with it." Maya laughed bitterly. "No, Logan. You assumed. I never confirmed. Check your precious paperwork. The NDA covered our relationship, not the outcome of my pregnancy." A coworker approached, eyeing Logan suspiciously. "Everything okay, Maya?" Logan stepped back, realizing how this looked. A man confronting a woman in a parking lot after dark. "We're fine, Jen," Maya assured her. Old acquaintance. When her colleague left, Maya turned back to Logan. "Stay away from my clinic. Stay away from my home. Stay away from my children." He grabbed her arm. She hissed, "Touch me again, and I'll have security remove you. That NDA doesn't protect you from harassment charges." But the tremor in her voice betrayed what her words didn't. She was terrified he'd take them away. Do you think people who run from their past ever truly escape? Would you confront someone who betrayed your trust? Or let sleeping dogs lie? Share your thoughts below. She'd built her entire world around protecting her boys from the man who'd paid to erase them. Now he was at her doorstep, demanding to be let in. Maya's hand shook as she unlocked her front door. The babysitter, Mrs. Rodriguez from next door, looked up from where she sat reading to the twins. "Everything okay, honey? You look pale." "Fine," Maya lied, forcing a smile. "Just a long day." After paying Mrs. Rodriguez and watching her leave, Maya dropped to her knees, gathering Ethan and Noah into her arms. They squirmed and giggled, smelling of baby shampoo and graham crackers. "Mama home," Noah declared, patting her cheeks. "Yes, baby, Mama's home." She breathed them in, these miracles she'd protected since the day she decided to keep them. Against all odds, against Logan's wishes, against financial security, she'd chosen them, built a life for them. The knock came as she was serving mac and cheese for dinner. 3 sharp raps that made her stomach drop. Through the peephole, she saw Logan on her porch, looking completely out of place in her working-class neighborhood. His tailored suit and expensive watch might as well have been a neon sign announcing, "I don't belong here." Maya opened the door, just enough to speak through the gap. "How did you find my house?" "Does it matter?" Logan's eyes moved past her, searching for the twins. "We need to talk." "No, we don't." She started to close the door. His hand pressed against it. "Maya, please. I have a right to know them." "Rights?" Her voice rose. "You surrendered any rights when you handed me that check." Across the street, Mrs. Rodriguez watched from her porch, phone in hand. 2 houses down, the Wilsons paused their evening walk. Maya realized the neighborhood was witnessing this confrontation, her carefully constructed life cracking at the seams. 5 minutes, Logan said. "That's all I'm asking." "Mama." Noah's voice came from behind her. "Mac cheese ready?" Logan's expression changed at the sound of his son's voice, something softening in those steel-gray eyes that matched the twins. "Please," he whispered. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the realization this confrontation would continue until she faced it. Maybe it was something in his eyes, regret, wonder, fear, that looked too human to ignore. She opened the door. Logan stepped into the modest living room, taking in the toys scattered across the floor, the finger paintings taped to the refrigerator, the twin high chairs at the small dining table. His designer shoes looked absurd against her worn carpet. Ethan toddled in from the kitchen, macaroni smeared across his shirt. He stopped, staring up at Logan with curious eyes, his own eyes. "Hi," Logan said softly, kneeling down. Ethan studied him, then held out a sticky hand. Mac cheese. When Ethan toddled over and reached for Logan's hand, Maya felt her carefully constructed walls begin to crack. 1 hour, she whispered. You get 1 hour to explain yourself, and then you disappear from our lives forever. Have you ever had to protect someone you love from a person who once hurt you? What lengths would you go to? Tell me in the comments about a time you had to be someone's shield. For 730 days, she'd rehearsed what she'd say if she ever saw him again. But facing him now, with her children sleeping down the hall, every practiced word evaporated. Rain lashed against the windows as Maya set a mug of coffee in front of Logan. She'd changed out of her scrubs into leggings and an oversized sweater, armor of a different kind. They're beautiful, Logan said, glancing toward the hallway where the twins now slept. I didn't invite you here for compliments. No, he wrapped his hands around the mug. You want answers? I want nothing from you, Maya corrected. You demanded this conversation. Thunder rolled outside, punctuating the tension between them. 2 years ago, they'd met at a coffee shop near a nursing school in Houston. He'd been there meeting investors. She'd been studying for finals. Their connection had been immediate and intense. A whirlwind romance that burned too hot to last. Why didn't you tell me? Logan finally asked. Maya laughed quietly. Tell you what, that I changed my mind? That after I left your office with that check, I sat in my car for 3 hours, unable to drive to the clinic? I would have, what, double the offer? Her voice hardened. I cashed your check, Logan. I needed it to live when morning sickness made me too sick to work. When I lost my scholarship because I couldn't maintain my grades. When I needed to start over somewhere you wouldn't find us. Logan's jaw tightened. That's not fair. Fair. Maya leaned forward. Was it fair to hand me a check like I was a problem to solve? Was it fair to make me choose between my education and my pregnancy? Was it fair to call our baby a career liability? I was scared, he admitted quietly. So was I. Lightning flashed, illuminating her face. But I didn't run. I didn't throw money at my fear and walk away. Logan reached across the table, his fingers accidentally brushing hers as he moved his mug. The brief contact sent an unwelcome current through Maya's body, muscle memory from a time when his touch had been everything. There were complications, she continued, pulling her hand away. Bleeding in my first trimester. The doctor said termination could be dangerous. By the time it was safe, I'd heard their heartbeats, seen them on the ultrasound. They weren't a problem anymore. They were my children. Our children, Logan corrected softly. Maya shook her head. No. You don't get to claim them now. Not after 2 years of silence. I didn't know they existed. Because you didn't want to know. Maya wiped away an angry tear. You paid me to make a problem disappear, Logan. I made your problem disappear. Just not the way you expected. As he stepped toward the door, his phone rang. The caller ID flashing FBI investigation unit. Maya's eyes widened as he silenced it. There's something I haven't told you either, he admitted, voice hollow. Have you ever faced someone who hurt you and found your carefully planned words failing? Is honesty always the best policy, or are some secrets better kept? What would you have done in Maya's position? Let me know in the comments. He'd spent his life making calculated business decisions. Now he was about to make her an offer that would expose just how desperate he truly was. The FBI? Maya stood, putting distance between them. What have you done? Logan's composure cracked. For the first time since he'd appeared at the market, he looked vulnerable. The confident CEO replaced by a man on the edge. PREGNancy is under investigation, he admitted. The technology we developed for secure communications has other applications. What kind of applications? The kind government agencies are interested in. He ran a hand through his hair. The kind that make investors nervous about privacy violations. Maya crossed her arms. And this concerns me how. The board is pressuring me to clean up my image. They think I'm a liability, young, single, focused only on the company. His eyes met hers. They want a family man leading PREGNancy-2 during the investigation. Someone stable, trustworthy. Understanding dawned on Maya's face. So that's why you're here. Not because you care about the twins. You need us to save your reputation. It's not that simple. It seems pretty simple to me. Maya cut him off. Your company's in trouble. and suddenly you care about the children you paid to eliminate. Logan stepped closer. I didn't know they existed until yesterday. And if you hadn't seen us at the market, if your company wasn't under investigation, would you care then? Her question hung in the air between them. Outside, the storm intensified, rain hammering against the roof like judgment. I don't know, he admitted finally. But I'm here now. Wanting what exactly? Logan took a deep breath. I want us to present a united front, a reconciled family, just until the investigation concludes and investor confidence stabilizes. Maya stared at him in disbelief. You want to use me? Use our children as props? I want to compensate you generously for your time, he clarified. $1 million for 6 months of appearances. Public events, company functions, family photographs. You'll have your own residence, full medical coverage, anything you need. You're insane, Maya whispered, shaking her head. Think about what that money could do for the twins, Logan pressed. The best schools, college funds, security. I won't sell myself again. This isn't about selling anything. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Maya laughed bitterly. You haven't changed at all, have you? Everything's still a transaction. From down the hall came a sudden, harsh coughing. Maya's expression shifted instantly from anger to concern. She rushed to the twins' bedroom, Logan following cautiously behind. In the soft glow of a dinosaur nightlight, Ethan sat up in his toddler bed, face flushed as he coughed again. A wet, raspy sound that made Logan wince. It's okay, baby, Maya soothed, feeling his forehead. Mama's here. Logan watched from the doorway as she administered medication through a nebulizer mask, whispering comforting words until Ethan's breathing eased. Noah remained asleep in the other bed, undisturbed. When she returned to the living room, her face was drawn with worry. He needs a pulmonologist, she said quietly. A specialist. My insurance won't cover it. His offer hung between them. $1 million for 6 months of pretending they were a reconciled family. You're insane, she whispered, but when Ethan coughed violently from the other room, her resolve wavered. Her son's medical bills were piling up, and insurance wouldn't cover the specialist. Would you ever pretend to reconcile with someone for mutual benefit? Or is honesty too important to compromise? Share your experience with difficult choices in the comments below. She once sold her freedom to him with an NDA. Now she was selling her appearance of love, but this time she was naming the price. 3 days later, Maya sat across from Logan in his downtown office, 40 floors above Austin. Floor-to-ceiling windows displayed a city that looked small from this height. Everything in the space shouted wealth, from the abstract art on the walls to the desk that probably cost more than her car. These are my conditions. Maya slid a document across the polished surface. Non négociable. Logan raised an eyebrow, skimming the handwritten list. Full medical coverage for the twins. Separate living arrangements within the same building. College funds established immediately. Approval of all photos and press. And no paternity announcement without my consent, Maya added. The world doesn't need to know they're yours unless I decide it's in their best interest. Logan's jaw tightened. They're mine. Biologically, yes. In every other way, you haven't earned that right. His assistant brought in the contracts, thick documents drafted overnight by Logan's legal team. Maya read every page while Logan watched, his gaze heavy on her face. Why did you keep the pregnancy? He asked suddenly. You could have waited until it was safe and still terminated. You could have given them up for adoption. Maya didn't look up from the papers, because every time I thought about not keeping them, it felt wrong. Like I'd be throwing away something precious just because it was hard. And now they're everything. She looked up, eyes clear and certain. They're worth any sacrifice. Logan studied her, the determined set of her shoulders, the protective fire in her eyes. He'd never seen this version of Maya before. The girl he dated had been soft, pliable. This woman was steel wrapped in silk. $1 million deposited upon signing, Logan said, reaching for a pen. Another $1 million in an escrow account for the twins, released when our arrangement ends. Maya's heart pounded. $2 million. Security for her boys. The best medical care. A future without constant financial worry. all for 6 months of pretending. She signed her name with steady hands. "There's something else," Logan said as she set down the pen. "The press will expect a ring." He opened a velvet box revealing a diamond that caught the morning light, breaking it into rainbows across the contract. "For appearances only," he clarified. Maya slipped it on, the weight unfamiliar and cold, like everything else between us. As she stood to leave, Logan noticed something he'd missed before. A small tattoo on her wrist with the date he'd told her to terminate the pregnancy. The date she'd actually chosen to keep his children instead. Have you ever made a deal that compromised your principles for someone you love? What was your breaking point? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The cameras love them. The tech genius who'd found his college sweetheart and their adorable twin boys. But behind closed doors, the temperature between them rose for entirely different reasons. "Just smile," Logan murmured against Maya's ear as camera flashes exploded around them. "They're eating it up." The charity gala marked their first public appearance as a reconciled couple. Maya's borrowed designer gown hugged curves motherhood had given her. Logan's hand rested at the small of her back, warm through the thin fabric. "Tech's most eligible bachelor off the market," a reporter called out. "How does it feel, Maya, winning him back?" Maya's practiced smile never faltered. "Some things are worth fighting for." The headline appeared online before they even left the event. Privacy tech CEO finds love with mother of his children. Stock prices jumped 3 points by morning. Their new living arrangement, connecting penthouse apartments with a shared door, became a carefully choreographed dance. The twins adjusted with the resilience of childhood, delighted by floor-to-ceiling windows and a playroom filled with toys that appeared overnight. "Daddy work?" Noah asked one morning, pointing to Logan's closed office door. The word daddy froze Maya mid-step. "Mr. Logan is working," she corrected gently. But the twins had other ideas. They trailed Logan like ducklings when he emerged for coffee. They pressed small hands against his expensive pants, offered him half-eaten crackers, demanded stories in the specific way of toddlers who won't take no for an answer. "They need haircuts," Logan noted one evening as they reviewed their schedule after the twins were asleep. "I usually do it myself," Maya replied. "I'll have my stylist come tomorrow." "They don't need your stylist. They need consistency, normalcy." In case you haven't noticed, Logan gestured to the luxury around them. "This is our normal now." "For 6 months," Maya reminded him. "Then we go back to real life." Something shifted in Logan's expression, a flash of something Maya couldn't name. Before she could analyze it, his phone rang with another call from his lawyers. The FBI investigation progressed in the background of their charade. Logan spent hours behind closed doors with attorneys. Stock prices fluctuated with each news report. Through it all, they maintained their performance. Happy family photos on Instagram, casual lunch dates where photographers happened to find them. At a company dinner, Logan pulled Maya onto the dance floor as investors watched approvingly. "You're a natural," he whispered, hands spanning her waist. "At lying, at belonging in my world." His cologne, expensive and familiar, clouded her senses. The warmth of his hand against her back triggered memories of when that touch meant something real, when she believed he loved her. Later that night, Logan helped unzip her dress when the zipper caught. His fingers brushed against her bare skin, lingering longer than necessary, the air between them charged with something neither acknowledged. When the twins called for their mother in the night, Logan reached her bedroom door first. The sight of him, disheveled from sleep, caring enough to check on children he barely knew, awakened something Maya had buried beneath 2 years of practiced hatred. Have you ever found yourself feeling things you swore you wouldn't? How long can you pretend before pretending becomes reality? Let me know in the comments if you've ever caught feelings when you promised yourself you wouldn't. She'd locked away every memory of his touch, until one careless moment in the kitchen shattered her defenses as easily as the glass that slipped from her fingers. 3 weeks into their arrangement, patterns emerged. Logan left for work before dawn, returning in time for dinner with the twins. Maya established new routines, playdates with children of other building residents, visits to nearby parks, regular checkups with Ethan's new specialist. The boys bloomed under the stability. Ethan's breathing improved with proper treatment. Noah's vocabulary exploded, adding new words daily. They called Logan Lolo now, not quite Dad, but something uniquely theirs. That evening, Maya cooked while the twins played with magnetic letters on the refrigerator. Logan's keys jangled at the door, and both boys abandoned their game, running to greet him. Lolo home. Maya watched from the kitchen as Logan lifted them both, one in each arm, with the ease that hadn't existed weeks ago. His suit jacket was wrinkled from the day, his tie loosened. He looked tired but brightened at the boys' welcome. "Something smells amazing," he said, entering the kitchen with the twins still clinging to him. "Just pasta." Maya stirred the sauce. "Nothing fancy. Better than takeout." He set the boys down. "I'll get changed and help." The domesticity felt dangerously comfortable. Maya hummed as she worked, the sound of Logan's voice reading to the twins drifting from their bedroom. This wasn't real, she reminded herself. This was business, an exchange of services for security. Logan returned in jeans and a t-shirt, looking younger, more like the man she'd fallen for years ago. He moved beside her in the kitchen, reaching past her for plates, his chest brushing against her back. "Sorry," he murmured, not sounding sorry at all. Dinner passed with the chaotic energy of feeding toddlers. Logan asked about their day. Maya asked about his meetings. They cleaned up together after putting the twins to bed, moving around each other in the kitchen with unexpected coordination. "The FBI interviewed my development team today," Logan said, drawing a plate. "They're getting closer to making a decision about charges." "Is that good or bad?" "Hard to tell." He passed her a glass. "Our stock is holding steady, though. The family man image is working." The glass slipped from Maya's fingers, shattering on the tile floor. "Don't move," she warned, kneeling to gather larger shards. Logan knelt beside her. "Let me help. I've got it," she insisted, but he was already picking up pieces, their hands working the same small area of floor. His fingers brushed hers. The simple contact stopped her breath. When she looked up, his face was inches from hers, those steel-gray eyes studying her with familiar intensity. "You cut yourself," he said softly, taking her hand. A small bead of blood welled from her finger. Before she could pull away, Logan brought her finger to his lips, the gesture both tender and electric. 24 days of proximity. 24 days of watching him with their sons. 24 days of remembering why she'd fallen for him in the first place. It all collapsed into this moment. His mouth against her skin, her pulse racing. "Logan," she whispered, a warning or invitation. She wasn't sure. He pulled her to him, mouth finding hers with desperate certainty. 2 years dissolved as her body recognized his. The taste of him, the feel of his hands sliding in her hair, the solid warmth of his chest against hers. They stumbled backward against the counter, hands relearning each other with urgent need. His mouth traced the curve of her neck as she pulled him closer, rational thought drowning beneath desire too long denied. "The boys," she gasped as his hands slipped beneath her shirt. "Fast asleep," he murmured against her skin. I checked the monitor. All the reasons this was a mistake faded beneath his touch. Right now, she didn't care about contracts or arrangements or the fact that this would make everything more complicated. She only knew that her body had missed his, that pretending indifference had become its own kind of torture. When it was over, reality crashed back with his phone buzzed with a text. "New evidence found. Your devices will be seized tomorrow morning." Maya pulled away, suddenly cold. "What are you telling me about this investigation? Is physical attraction enough to rebuild trust after betrayal? Or does the body remember what the mind tries to forget?" Share your thoughts about physical chemistry versus emotional trust in the comments below. The twins' medical emergency brought them together as parents for the first time, only for her to discover what he'd been hiding all along. 3 a.m. Ethan's monitor erupted with the sound of desperate, wheezing coughs. Maya bolted upright, heart pounding as she rushed to the twins' room. Logan appeared in the hallway seconds behind her. Ethan sat up in bed, face flushed and frightened, struggling to pull air into his lungs. Each breath wheezed painfully. Noah watched wide-eyed from his bed. "Call 911, Maya ordered, already reaching for Ethan's emergency inhaler. The ride to the hospital blurred with fear. Logan drove, while Maya sat in the back with Ethan, coaching his breathing, murmuring reassurances that didn't match the panic in her eyes. Noah stayed with the building's night concierge, too confused and frightened to go back to sleep. Respiratory distress, the emergency doctor explained later, after medications had eased Ethan's breathing. His asthma is severe, Ms. Brooks. He'll need to stay overnight for observation. Dawn broke as Ethan finally slept in a hospital bed, his breathing steady but shallow. Maya hadn't left his side, her hand resting protectively on his small chest. Logan paced the room, making calls, arranging for Noah to be brought to the hospital later, demanding updates from nurses. "You should get some rest," he told Maya, gently touching her shoulder. "I'll stay with him." She shook her head. "I can't leave him." "You're not leaving him. I'm his father. I'm here." The words hung between them. His father. Not Lolo or your friend, but his father. The truth they'd been dancing around for weeks. Maya studied Logan's face. The worry lines around his eyes, the stubble darkening his jaw, the genuine fear for their son. When had the man who wrote checks to solve problems become someone who stayed through the night in a hospital room? Just for an hour, she agreed finally, exhaustion winning. "Wake me if anything changes." She curled into the room's single recliner, asleep within minutes. Logan watched her breathe, struck by how young she looked in sleep, how vulnerable. His chest ached with a feeling he couldn't name, or refused to. When his phone buzzed, he stepped into the hallway to take the call from his attorney. More documents required, more questions about the technology. The walls were closing in on PREGNancy-2. Maya woke to find Logan asleep in the chair beside Ethan's bed, his hand covering their son's much smaller one. Ethan's color had improved, his breathing easier. The morning nurse moved quietly around them, checking vitals. "Your husband hasn't left all night," she whispered to Maya. "Not even for coffee." Maya didn't correct her. Instead, she gathered her things to freshen up in the bathroom. Logan's briefcase sat beside her chair, papers spilling from its unzipped top. She hadn't meant to look, but as she moved the case, a document slipped free. FBI letterhead, Logan's name, and the word surveillance technology highlighted in yellow. Her hands trembled as she pulled out more papers. Not financial fraud, as Logan had claimed. The investigation centered on PREGNancy-2's development of tracking technology. Technology capable of monitoring locations, communications, even physical metrics like heart rate. While Logan slept in a hospital chair, Maya opened his briefcase looking for insurance cards, only to find FBI documents revealing the true nature of the investigation. It wasn't about financial fraud, as he claimed. It was about illegal surveillance technology that could track anyone, anywhere, including her, for the past 2 years. When was the last time you discovered someone wasn't who they claimed to be? How did that revelation change your perspective? Have you ever discovered someone's real character during an emergency? Tell me in the comments. She'd been running from a man who'd been watching her all along. The coordinates of her every move stored in the same devices that had made him millions. Maya waited until Ethan was discharged and Noah brought to the hospital before confronting Logan. The boys napped in their room while she laid the FBI documents on the kitchen counter. "Explain this," she demanded. Logan froze, seeing the papers. His face paled then hardened. "You went through my briefcase. You lied about the investigation." Maya's voice trembled with fury. "This isn't about financial fraud. It's about surveillance. Tracking people without their knowledge. It's complicated. Did you track me?" The question burst from her lips. "After I left Houston, did you use your technology to monitor me?" The silence that followed confirmed her worst fears. "How could you?" She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold. PREGNancy-2 developed secure communication technology for corporations, Logan said carefully. The government became interested in its applications for national security. "That's not what I asked." Logan's jaw tightened. "Yes, I tracked you." The simple admission hit like a physical blow. Maya sank into a chair, memories realigning with horrible clarity. how Logan had found her address so easily, how he'd appeared at her workplace, the confidence with which he'd approached her at the market. Not chance, but calculation. For how long? Since you left. He wouldn't meet her eyes. Not constantly. Just check-ins. Check-ins. Maya laughed bitterly. You mean surveillance? Invasion of privacy. Stalking. I want to make sure you were okay. You wanted control. Maya stood, anger burning away shock. You couldn't handle that I made a choice without your permission. That I built a life you weren't part of. That's not. How did you do it? She demanded. What did you plan on me? Logan hesitated. The bracelet. The one I gave you before you left. Maya's hand flew to her wrist, where the platinum bracelet had remained since the day he'd clasped it around her arm. His parting gift, she'd thought. A memory she couldn't bring herself to discard despite everything. She frantically unclasped it, letting it fall to the floor. You've been tracking me through jewelry? For 2 years. The technology was experimental, Logan explained, his voice clinical, detached. It needed real-world testing. And I was your lab rat. You were someone I cared about. Cared about. Maya advanced on him, fury radiating from every pore. People who care don't spy. They don't monitor. They don't track movements like some animal with a collar. Logan reached for her. Maya, don't touch me. She backed away. All this time, I thought we were rebuilding something. I thought you were changing. But this, she gestured to the bracelet on the floor, this proves you're exactly who I thought you were. Someone who sees people as assets to control. That's not fair. Fair. Maya laughed. Was it fair to watch me without my knowledge? To violate my privacy? To pretend this reunion was about our children when you've been manipulating everything from the start? The boy's door opened, Noah peeking out sleepily. Mama? Lolo? Maya composed herself instantly, mother mode replacing her rage. Everything's fine, baby. Go back to your nap. When the door closed, she turned back to Logan, voice low but deadly. The contract stays in place, for their sake. But you and I, we're done playing house. As she turned to leave, Logan grabbed her arm. There's more you don't understand. Let go. The FBI isn't just investigating PREGNancy, he said urgently. They're looking at everyone who might have knowledge of the technology, including you. Maya pulled away. I don't know anything about your company. You're wearing the proof around your wrist. His eyes dropped to the discarded bracelet, where you were. When the FBI agent appeared in the hospital doorway, Maya understood with horrifying clarity. Logan hadn't brought her back into his life to save his company. He needed her to destroy evidence only she could access, hidden in the gift he'd given her 2 years ago. Have you ever discovered someone wasn't who they claimed to be? How did you handle the betrayal? Drop a comment about a time trust was broken in your life. The platinum bracelet he'd given her as a parting gift had never left her wrist. Now she realized it had never left him either, connecting them in ways she never imagined. Agent Reeves, FBI. The man flashed his badge at the penthouse door. I need to speak with Mr. Pierce and Ms. Brooks. Maya stood frozen as 2 more agents entered behind him. The twins were at their playdate downstairs. Thank God. She couldn't bear them witnessing this. We have a warrant to search these premises and seize all electronic devices, Agent Reeves continued, handing Logan a document. Particularly any prototype surveillance equipment. Logan's face remained impassive. My attorneys will meet us here shortly. In the meantime, the agent replied, we'll begin our search. The next hour passed in tense silence as agents methodically went through both apartments. They bagged Logan's laptops, tablets, even the twins' electronic toys. Maya sat rigid on the couch, the discarded bracelet burning a hole in her pocket. Ms. Brooks, Agent Reeves approached her. We understand you were given a prototype tracking device disguised as jewelry. Her eyes shot to Logan, who gave an imperceptible nod. This bracelet? She removed it from her pocket. The agent's eyes lit with interest. May I? As he reached for it, Logan stepped forward. That's evidence in an ongoing investigation. You'll need a specific warrant for that item, which we have. Agent Reeves produced another document. The bracelet, please. Maya hesitated, suddenly uncertain. This small band of metal was both violation and evidence. If she surrendered it, what would happen to Logan? To their arrangement? To the twins' security? Ms. Brooks, the agent pressed, withholding evidence is obstruction of justice. It's okay, Logan said quietly. Give it to them. She placed a bracelet in the agent's outstretched hand. He sealed it in an evidence bag with practiced efficiency. We'll need statements from both of you, he said. Separately, they took Logan first, leading him to the building's conference room. Maya paced the apartment, mind racing. Everything was collapsing. The security she'd bargained for, the future she'd planned for her children. When they returned for her statement, she told the truth about receiving the bracelet as a gift, about wearing it continuously, about having no knowledge of its tracking capabilities. She didn't mention the contract or their arrangement. Some secrets weren't the FBI's business. Hours later, when the agents finally left, the penthouse felt violated. Drawers left open, cushions askew, electronics missing. Logan stood at the window, silhouetted against the Austin skyline. What happens now? Maya asked. My lawyers will negotiate. The company will survive, though I'll likely face charges. And us? This arrangement. Logan turned, his expression unreadable. That depends on you. On me. You're the one who lied, who spied on me for years. I didn't just track you, he said quietly. I protected you. Maya laughed bitterly. Is that what you call it? Check your bank statements from the past 2 years. The anonymous deposits when your rent was due. The hospital bills that mysteriously disappeared. The scholarship fund that covered your final semester. Her breath caught. That was you. The bracelet didn't just track location. It monitored financial stress through heart rate patterns. When your metrics showed distress, I intervened. Without my knowledge, without my consent. Would you have accepted my help if I'd offered it directly? The question hung between them, honest in its simplicity. They both knew the answer. Why? She whispered. Why help me after I left? Logan's gaze dropped to his hands. Because I made a mistake, the biggest of my life, and I didn't know how to fix it. As they led Logan away in handcuffs, he called out, the passcode to the safe is their birthday. Maya froze. How had he known their birth date when she'd never told him? Unless he'd been there, watching from the shadows on the day his sons were born. What would you do if helping someone who hurt you was the only way to protect your family? Where do you draw the line? Tell me in the comments if you've ever had to choose between pride and protection. The safe contained 2 years of surveillance. And something else that changed everything she thought she knew about the man who'd abandoned her. After the twins were asleep, Maya stood before the painting in Logan's office, an abstract piece hiding a wall safe she'd never noticed. Her fingers trembled as she entered their birthday, March 17th, 22. The lock clicked open. Inside lay a sleek external hard drive, a manila envelope, and a small velvet box. Maya took them all to the kitchen table, heart pounding. The hard drive connected easily to her laptop. Folders appeared, organized by date. 2 years of data. She clicked on the earliest file. A video opened. Maya leaving Logan's Houston office, check in hand, tears streaming down her face. The footage followed her to her car, where she sat sobbing for hours. The next clip showed her at her apartment, packing frantically. Then at a bus station, a motel in San Antonio, a clinic in Austin. He'd watched it all. Every step of her journey away from him. But there was more. Hospital footage of Maya in a wheelchair, being rushed to emergency with first trimester complications. Logan in a waiting room, baseball cap pulled low, watching from a distance. Maya leaving with discharge papers, unaware of his presence. Clip after clip revealed Logan's shadow presence in her life. Watching her move in her duplex, start her job, bring the twins home from the hospital. Never approaching, never revealing himself. Just watching. The manila envelope contained financial records. Anonymous donations to her bank account when rent came due. Medical bills marked paid in full. Her nursing school showing a scholarship from the Future Healthcare Professionals Fund, a foundation that didn't exist before her enrollment. The velvet box held a thumb drive shaped like a key. When plugged in, a video opened. Logan alone in his apartment the day she left Houston. He destroyed furniture, punched walls, finally collapsing with the sonogram, she'd left behind. As tears streamed down his face, he whispered 3 words she never thought she'd hear from him. "I was wrong." Maya sat motionless, emotions warring within her. This was still violation, tracking her, watching her without consent. Yet the evidence of his regret, his silent support, complicated her anger. Her phone rang. Logan's attorney. "Ms. Brooks, I'm calling about Mr. Pierce's arraignment tomorrow. His bail hearing is scheduled for noon. What are the charges? Unauthorized surveillance, privacy violations, obstruction of justice. They're making an example of him. What can I do?" "Nothing, legally speaking." But the attorney hesitated. A show of family support might influence the judge's perception. Family support, the very thing their contract had been designed to manufacture. "I'll be there," Maya said, surprising herself. After hanging up, she returned to the videos, watching Logan watch her. In one clip, he stood across the street as she pushed the twins in their stroller through the park. His expression held none of the cold calculation she'd expected, only longing and regret. The final video was dated just 3 weeks before their market encounter. Logan sat his car outside her clinic, clearly debating whether to approach. He reached for the door handle, then stopped, shaking his head. "Not yet," he whispered to himself. "Not until I can offer them something better than money." Maya closed the laptop, mind reeling. The man who'd paid her to terminate her pregnancy had also ensured she could keep it safely. The man who tracked her movements had never used that information to intrude. The man who'd seemed cold and calculating had been breaking apart in private. The Logan she'd hated and the Logan who'd supported her from shadows were the same person. Complex, flawed, and possibly worth a second look. Is invasion of privacy ever justified by good intentions? Would you forgive someone who watched over you without consent? Share your thoughts about the line between protection and violation in the comments. She walked into the courtroom ready to bury him, but the truth she was about to reveal would either save him or destroy them both. The courthouse buzzed with media. Tech reporters, business journalists, privacy advocates, all gathered to witness the downfall of Logan Pierce, the wunderkind whose surveillance technology had crossed ethical lines. Maya wore a simple navy dress, hair pulled back, twins left with Mrs. Rodriguez. She'd come alone, uncertain what she would say if called to testify. The hard drive and its revelations weighed heavy in her purse. Logan sat beside his attorneys, shoulders straight despite the circumstances. When he spotted Maya entering, surprise flickered across his face, quickly masked. He looked thinner, his usual confidence dimmed by 3 days in custody. "All rise." The bailiff called as the judge entered. The proceedings moved quickly. Charges read, pleas entered, bail arguments made. Logan pleaded not guilty to all counts. His attorney argued for release, citing community ties and family obligations. "Your Honor," the prosecutor countered, "Mr. Pierce has no meaningful community ties. This supposed reconciliation with Ms. Brooks is clearly a publicity stunt arranged to salvage his company's reputation during the investigation." The judge peered over her glasses. "Is Ms. Brooks present?" Maya's heart jumped as all eyes turned to her. She stood on shaky legs. "Ms. Brooks," the judge addressed her directly, "the prosecution suggests your relationship with the defendant is fraudulent. Would you care to address the court on this matter?" This was it. The moment to tell the truth. To admit their contract, their arrangement, their mutual using of each other for different ends. To bury Logan Pierce, as he once tried to bury the existence of his children. Maya approached the witness stand, took the oath with steady voice. Under the harsh fluorescent lights, Logan looked vulnerable, his fate in her hands. "Ms. Brooks," the prosecutor began, "isn't it true that Mr. Pierce paid you to terminate your pregnancy 2 years ago?" Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Logan's attorney objected, but the judge allowed the question. "Yes," Maya answered honestly. "He did. And isn't it true that your recent reconciliation coincided perfectly with the beginning of this investigation?" "Yes." The prosecutor smiled, scenting blood. "In fact, you signed a contract with Mr. Pierce, didn't you? A financial arrangement to present as a family unit during this crisis." Maya took a deep breath. Yes, we had an arrangement. Logan closed his eyes, accepting defeat. But that's not the whole truth, Maya continued. The courtroom stilled. 2 years ago, Logan Pierce made a terrible mistake. He was afraid of fatherhood, afraid of responsibility, afraid of becoming the man who'd abandoned him as a child. He offered money instead of support, and I left. She opened her purse, removed the hard drive. What I didn't know until recently was that he regretted that decision immediately. This contains 2 years of evidence showing how he watched over us from a distance, ensuring we had what we needed without ever taking credit. Objection, the prosecutor called. This is precisely the illegal surveillance we're prosecuting. Your Honor, Maya pressed on. I'm not defending the technology or its applications, but I'm testifying to the character of the man who created it. Logan Pierce used his technology to protect us, not exploit us. He paid medical bills anonymously. He created a scholarship so I could finish my degree. He made sure we never went hungry or homeless. Did you consent to this surveillance, Ms. Brooks? The judge asked. No, Your Honor, I didn't. And that was wrong. But intent matters. He never used what he learned to harm us or control us. He used it to help from a distance because he believed I wouldn't accept help directly. And would you have? The judge asked. Maya met Logan's gaze across the courtroom. No, I wouldn't have. My pride wouldn't have allowed it. The judge considered this. Ms. Brooks, are you suggesting the court show leniency? I'm suggesting the court see the whole picture. Yes, Logan created technology that violated privacy. Yes, he should face consequences for that. But he's also a man trying to make amends for past mistakes. A man learning to be a father. A man worth giving a second chance. As she left the witness stand, the judge called a recess. What? Logan whispered when she passed. Maya looked directly into those steel gray eyes. The same ones her sons had inherited, because they deserve to know their father, even if he's behind bars. Have you ever had to tell a complicated truth that wasn't black and white? How did you navigate between right and wrong? Share your experience with moral gray areas in the comments. The jury needed 6 hours to decide his legal fate, but it had taken her only 6 minutes in that courtroom to decide she couldn't hate him anymore. 2 weeks after her testimony, Maya sat in the same courtroom, waiting for the verdict. The trial had moved with unusual speed. Logan's attorneys negotiating a plea deal after the prosecution's case weakened. Logan stood as the judge entered. No tie today, his appearance deliberately humbled. The twins were with Mrs. Rodriguez again. Maya couldn't bear them witnessing this moment, whatever the outcome. Mr. Pierce, the judge began, this court has considered your plea agreement. You've admitted to developing technology that violated citizens' privacy rights. However, we've also considered testimony regarding your character and intentions. Maya held her breath. This court sentences you to 18 months in federal prison, followed by 2 years of supervised release. Your company will pay a $50 million fine and submit to 5 years of oversight. Additionally, all surveillance technology must be surrendered to federal authorities. 18 months, not the years the prosecution had sought, but not freedom either. Maya's eyes burned with unexpected tears. You have 24 hours to get your affairs in order before reporting to custody, the judge concluded. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed them. Logan's hand found Maya's, squeezing gently as they pushed through the crowd to the waiting car. 18 months, he said once they were alone in the back seat. Better than I expected. What happens to PREGNANCY-2? The board will manage during my absence. The company will survive, though changed. He looked out the window at Austin passing by. What about you and the boys? The contract is void now, Maya said quietly. You can't fulfill your end. I know, his voice roughened, but the money is still yours. I've arranged everything. The penthouse, the medical care, the college funds. None of that changes. Logan, please, he interrupted. Let me do this one thing right. They spent his last day of freedom with the twins at the park. Logan pushed them on swings, helped them down slides, memorized their laughter like a man storing up treasures for a long winter. That evening, after the boys were asleep, Maya found him in his office, finalizing paperwork with his attorneys via video call. Everything's set, he told her when the call ended. My lawyers will handle anything you need while I'm away. The distance between them, just a few feet of expensive carpet, felt vast and shrinking simultaneously. Tomorrow he would be gone, their arrangement officially over. Yet something new had formed in its place. Not quite forgiveness, not quite love, but something with roots and possibility. I should get some sleep, Logan said, standing. Wait. Maya stepped closer. There's something I need to say. His eyes, those steel-gray eyes that had passed to their sons, watched her carefully. I hated you for so long, she began. For the check. For making me choose. For making me feel like our baby was a problem to solve. Logan flinched but didn't look away. But I understand now that you were scared. That you thought you were protecting me from a life you weren't ready for. She took another step closer. What you did was wrong. The surveillance was wrong. But your intentions, they weren't as cold as I thought. Maya, I'm not saying I forgive everything, she continued. But I'm not angry anymore. And the boys need their father, even if he's away for a while. The next morning, they drove him to the federal facility. The twins didn't understand why Lolo was going away, only that he promised to call them every week, to write letters, to come back. In the stark visiting room, with guards watching and other families around them, Maya placed her hand against the glass, separating them. 18 months, he said, voice rough with emotion. 18 months until I'm free. Will you wait? Maya placed her hand against the glass. We'll be here, she promised, but not waiting, living. You have a lot to prove when you get out. Is redemption possible for everyone? At what point do you believe someone has changed? Share your thoughts on second chances in the comments below. He'd entered her life twice. First as the man who paid her to disappear, then as the prisoner who'd earned a second chance at being a father. 18 months passed in a rhythm of weekly calls, children's drawings mailed to a prison address, and monthly visits where the twins pressed small hands against glass barriers. Ethan and Noah grew from toddlers to little boys who understood their father was away, but coming home soon. Maya moved them back to her duplex, needing the normalcy of her own space, but kept the penthouse for Logan's return. She returned to work at the clinic, started taking classes to her nurse practitioner license, built a life that was hers, not defined by contracts or arrangements. PREGNancy-2 transformed under new leadership, pivoting to privacy protection rather than surveillance. The company's new mission, securing data from exactly the kind of intrusion its founder had once enabled, brought redemption to the brand, if not immediate forgiveness. On release day, Maya drove alone to meet Logan. They'd agreed the twins should see him first at home, not at a correctional facility. He looked different. Leaner, hair shorter, eyes clearer. The designer suits and expensive watches were gone, replaced by simple jeans and a button-down shirt. When he spotted her waiting, his step faltered, uncertainty crossing his face. You came, he said simply. I promised. The drive back held comfortable silence. Logan watched the city pass, occasionally asking questions about the boys, about changes to Austin's skyline, about Maya's studies. They've grown so much, he said, scrolling through recent photos on her phone. Noah looks more like you now. But they both have your eyes, Maya replied, and your stubbornness. At her duplex, their home now, toys littered the front yard. A banner hung crookedly across the porch. Welcome home, LOLO, in wobbly childish letters. They made it themselves, Maya explained, seeing his expression. Inside, Mrs. Rodriguez had the twins dressed in their special occasion clothes, hair combed neatly, vibrating with excitement. When Logan stepped through the door, they froze momentarily, the man from weekly video calls suddenly real and present. Then Noah broke first, running full speed. LOLO home. Logan knelt, gathering both boys into his arms, face buried against their small shoulders. When he looked up, his eyes shone with tears he didn't try to hide. I missed you, he whispered, every single day. That evening, after dinner and stories and the boys finally asleep, Maya and Logan sat on the porch swing, the Texas night warm around them. What happens now? He asked quietly. That depends, Maya replied. What do you want to happen? I want to be their father. Really be their father. not just biologically or financially. And us. The question hung between them, loaded with history and possibility. Logan took her hand, his touch gentle but certain. I want to earn back what I threw away, not with money or contracts, with time, with trust, with showing up every day. It won't be easy, Maya warned. We can't just pick up where we left off. I don't want to, Logan said. That relationship was built on attraction without foundation. I want to build something real this time, something that lasts. 6 months later, they moved into a new house. Not a penthouse, not her duplex, but a place that belonged to all of them. Logan started a new company focused on medical technology, inspired by Ethan's asthma. Maya finished her certification, specializing in pediatric care. They married on the twins' 5th birthday, a small ceremony in their backyard. The boys served as ring bearers, solemn with responsibility until the moment passed and they raced off to play. That night, after guests left and the twins finally slept, Maya found Logan standing in their doorway, watching their sons breathe. Having regrets? She asked softly. He turned, pulling her close. Only about the time I wasted being afraid. His kiss held promise and memory. The electricity that had always existed between them, now grounded in something stronger than passion or convenience. We could have more, he whispered against her hair. If you wanted. Maya smiled against his chest. More children. More everything. As the twins blew out their 5th birthday candles, Maya caught Logan's gaze across the table. No surveillance needed to know exactly what he was thinking. Some codes were never meant to be broken, only rewritten. Do you believe people can truly change? Can broken trust ever be fully restored? Share your thoughts below on whether love can be rebuilt stronger after being shattered.